Moving along, we have council reports. Who had the most fun during this last 2 weeks? You get to go first. We're at council reports.
I did. I was on Vancouver Island.
Yeah! There you go.
Show off.
And I have nothing to report.
That's a great report.
I know.
Okay, Councillor Blanchette.
June 26th, we had a bylaw meeting with Councillor Salt and Braden. Oh yes, it's thrilling. The 27th was the geocaching, so we're getting all of our geocaches put together and we're getting ready to disperse them in preparation for our geocaching event in August. The RCMP open house was terrific. Really enjoyed that. And the farmers market, yay, on the 4th was fantastic.
Next one. Okay. Councillor Bullock.
Both Councillor Latimer and I were at a tourism meeting today.
I wasn't on the council.
Oh, that's right. We're still there.
Yeah.
And I went to a community forest meeting the day before. Yes, yesterday.
Excellent.
I had the bylaw adjudication meeting on June 26th. Had some other things I had intended to participate in and be present at, but unfortunately, although I love the hot weather, it doesn't always like me. So I was feeling a little under the weather and unable to show up at some events. So that's unfortunate, but maybe next year.
I was at the RCMP open house too. That was a lot of fun. And I really thank Dan Kenkel who took over my job of barbecuing hamburgers. I can barbecue a couple hamburgers, but you know, upwards of 300, I'm not so much in favor. But it was good. And you know, we used every hamburger we cooked, by the way. Yeah, so that was good. I was really pleased, and it's always such a delight to represent the village at Canada Day. And it was a lot of fun. I had kids from out of town come and help me cut the cake at the museum. Just a delight. And so it was actually some kids, some of the kids who helped cut the cake were, Devin didn't actually come up, but Paige. You know Devin and Paige?
Yeah.
Yeah. Michaud. Yeah, they were here, yeah. So it's just delightful. And Devin's at that age where he doesn't do stuff like that anymore, so he didn't come and help cut the cake. But there were some other kids too there, and of course I got to cut it with Mo Smith, who was dressed up in full regalia. And I think it was a sweltering 31, 32. I also did the cake cutting in the evening, and it was great. We had O Canada sung by Birgit Hewitt. And that was a nice time. We had a bus full of students just roll off right after all the celebrations were done. A little bit, the fireworks were going. They popped a tire on their bus or something like that, and they had it in town for service. So they managed to make it to our Canada Day celebration. So that was very nice. I got to serve cake to a lot of hungry teens, and it's been pretty fantastic. I'm working on a committee also for the regional district on curbside recycling, and there are some big changes underway, and I think we've sort of spoken about them in sort of a cavalier way, that there'd be an opportunity coming towards us. And I just want to use this opportunity to let you guys know that it seems like, you know, we like to take our time as councils, but it seems like the province's partners, Multi-Material BC, is going to be looking for some pretty serious commitment from the village, one way or the other, regarding curbside recycling in September. And it's kind of policy at the pace of lightning. But fortunately, Anne sits on the committee with me, ex officio, and it's a passion of hers, so she's really up to speed on what it is, and trying to figure if curbside recycling would be a fit for Valemount. Just a couple items. When I don't mean to be too harsh on my colleagues in Prince George, but I was on this telecon, and you know, we are a long way away from Prince George, and it's sometimes I think hard for them to wrap their heads around our condition here. But I said, I'd asked, I've been inquiring about having just, that box that we have for recycle there, being moved into a compound in partnership with the village in town. And I know it's a big deal, and there's lots of issues associated with that, and I haven't requested that it's be done, but just that it be looked at and considered before the contracts are renewed again. Right now, there's no way that could happen because they're in a long-term agreement with them there, and that would mean an extra few kilometers for the guy who does the job. It's not gonna happen, but in the future it could. Curbside recycling is way beyond that. It's picking it up at everybody's house. So there'll be a discussion of that. But in my conversations with people at Prince George, they said, well, your transfer station is closer than where I have to go to drop off my recycling in Prince George. And I said, I really don't care. I live in a town that's 4 kilometers square for good reason. It's an efficient way to live, and I don't think I need to be on the highway in the middle of traffic, especially this nut jobbery we've had with the highway being closed. It's been a tough summer on the highway. I think we should be able to manage our resources better than that, irrespective of what is being done in regional district. I mean, it's very interesting, just to flag that for you guys. I don't have better information than that, except that the regional district will be coming to speak to you about what curbside recycling might look like. It's dealing with a private multi-material BC who is not local government, but just to get it in your minds, it looks like it could be a pretty good partnership because it takes a truck like we own, takes a truck like that to do this curbside recycling. Maybe it's there. Maybe they don't give us enough money to do it to make it worthwhile. Maybe it is. But that'll be coming up here pretty soon. Apologies for that really long thing, but I don't think we're going to have too many more opportunities during the summer to discuss that before it's upon us. Yes. That concludes my report. So can I have a motion to receive all of our reports? Thank you. And all in favor? Excellent. Okay, moving on to 2 new items for business. I'd like to start with this letter from David Grant, owner of the Funky Goat Eatery. And I would like, who's going to set that up for us? I think I'll set it up. Currently, David Grant is under a temporary use permit. He is running a mobile vendor place. He's running a mobile vendor.
He's a street vendor permit under the temporary street vendor bylaw.
Thank you. And currently he has a generator going. Grant has written a good letter here, calling to our attention that currently he has a generator going at the near the highway to provide the power that he needs. He has looked into what the cost would be, his assessment from his sources on what the cost might be to hook up electrical, to hook up to the grid, going through the village of Valemount's system. And anyways, the letter sort of speaks for itself. But I'm going to bring up a couple of points, not to shut down the conversation, but rather just to change it, to change the conversation. The idea is that the village might, that he might pay for, to install something that he could use, and the village might pay him back later. And I guess there are some arguments in favor of that where it would help other people that use that space, including the farmers market. But I just want to bring your attention to this additional item from the community charter. I'll just start with Division 3, Expenditures, Liabilities, and Investments, page, Section 173. Number 1, A municipality must not make an expenditure other than one authorized by subsection 2. And it just speaks to how we need to honor what's in our financial plan. And this piece is not there. So we're kind of coloring outside the lines here if we don't. And I'd like to call your attention to another piece here too, just sort of setting the baseline for this conversation. Division 2, Section 24, there are restrictions on providing assistance to private business. You can do it under a partnering agreement. You cannot.
It's best to read section 25 and then go back to 24.
Okay. Thank you. I got kind of confused here. So we'll go to section 25. General prohibition against assistance to business and exceptions. Unless expressly authorized under this or another act, a council must not provide a grant, benefit, advantage, or other form of assistance to business, including A, any form of assistance referred to in section 24(1), or B, an exemption from a tax or fee. And so popping back up to section 24, assistance under a partnering agreement would be not allowed. And then further to that, some bureaucratic gobbledygook. But the point is, our hands are a little bit tied here. In my conversation, I think we all sort of, the zeitgeist in Valemount is let's support those people who are willing to make an investment here and are proving themselves on the street, you know, and actually investing in this town and making things happen right now. And I really appreciate that. And I don't mean to be too hawkish here, but I would suggest that one of the only options available to us to support Mr. Grant would be to allow him to pay for that infrastructure that's there, or to put that infrastructure in. And if we did that, I think it might make sense in a way, or in many ways, that he doesn't invest in another generator or something, some similar noisemaker or something so unenvironmentally sound. And it provides a win for the community market. And it also, I think, speaks to we have to do it also if we provide that option, and it's not very generous. It's just saying, yeah, if you want power there, pay to put in a line, and we can come up with some elegant agreement, probably where it'd be a bit to our better, I would say, in terms of power or whatever, but less than the cost of running generators or whatever, something reasonably efficient. Because this is still under a temporary use permit, we can't commit that this investment would pay off over future seasons. It's just not there. We don't have the license today. We have not put into place that mobile vending thing, the street vending bylaw. It's still got to go through process. So,
Can I ask a question?
yeah, please.
If he's mobile, why does he need to have an electrical box? Is he not going to go to different places and then in turn wouldn't he use his generator, or am I off the mark?
Places that he's allowed to go to within the temporary, 4 places in the temporary bylaw. And really it's the one that he's chosen is to suit what best his needs. And I also agree with your worship on allowing him to get on it and put in his box. Because it is fantastic to have yet another business in town. The only gray area for me when I read that is what happens in the future when somebody else wants to come and shows up, because in our temporary bylaw it's on a first come first served basis. If Mr. Grant's put $3,000 to $5,000 invested into this, how do we deal with that in the future? So it's something definitely to hash out, to figure out how that's going to work.
Councillor Latimer.
He come up with an approximate cost per day, and Councillor Blanchette mentioned, don't we have an outside electrical outlet at the Visitor Information Center where he could plug in? I mean, there's one up on that, isn't there one up on that balcony where the amp was set up during the 50th anniversary?
Into the building.
It's inside, and we blew the circuit in the building last year when the farmers market was hooked up to with two food vendors at that time. It was too much power for the building.
Wouldn't it require more of an RV type of a
17
hookup?
ounces is a little bit bigger, and you want to go a little bit bigger. It's fine. But I'm really impressed that the proponent has gone to an electrical contractor, and I mean, of course, they don't, sigh without consulting the code. Council, I understand this is probably sort of a timely thing, and maybe we could ask the proponent what the time, whether this is, I know that we got this today, and I know that's because it's a timely issue. So, with understanding that, would we be comfortable in putting forward a motion saying we'd be comfortable with him covering the costs of providing an electrical outlet? It's so funny, if we were a business, we'd just go ahead and do it, right, or whatever, but because we're under scrutiny, and I think also because we have to be so careful about providing assistance to particular businesses. We don't want to go down that road any more than we
Where
have
is
to.
this going to be? Where's this outlet going to be?
Do you know where the museum sign is? The recommendation here is that it would be behind that.
Okay. And so is he the only business that we've given this temporary permit to? So he's the only one that can use this outlet for now? So
That needs to be hashed out.
somebody else might zoom along in their truck and park there, so how is?
Could I recommend?
Can I,
Yeah.
can I just cut in here for a second? We're not gonna be stopping him from carrying on with the generator, right? So why do we have to decide on this tonight? Shouldn't
I can
we,
make a
shouldn't
comment on that.
Shouldn't we sleep on it and really look at all the different angles here? There's a lot to consider. And I kinda, again, you know me, liability issues really concern me, and we need to hash out the different uses. And if there's a timeliness, I'd really like to know why we have to make a decision tonight. I'd rather this be deferred.
Did you have a comment, Councillor Dodd?
For a couple of reasons. A generator is not the most environmentally friendly thing going on. It doesn't sound the greatest around the information center or anywhere else in any of those 4 locations, as a matter of fact. I think it's a benefit to have the availability of power for both Mr. Grant's business and any other business that maybe he's interested in collaborating with or other opportunities. It makes it has our town ready to be able to encourage other business ventures of the sort. But I can also understand if it's a lot to digest. At the same time, even if we were to say go ahead and put in your power, we can still discuss the remuneration or partnership within that at a later time. I don't see how saying yes, go ahead and put in power gives us any liability, only more opportunity.
Like, I understand what you're saying about
Yep.
the noise and environmental and everything. I don't know.
Yeah.
Who does the power bill go to?
Yeah, so either it's gotta be metered, or we would just charge, we would make money off it. We would charge much less than the gas that he's burning right now, but just set a rate that would more than cover the utilities that he's running. I mean, dude's running a business on the thing, he's got this noisy generator out there. All we wanna do is provide him the opportunity to get power, and he's saying, I've got the money to invest, or I'm not sure if he's gonna say that exactly, because he sort of had another proposal here, but my guess is he's gonna say, I don't wanna invest in a generator, I wanna invest in a power thing and just be done with it. And so, I guess I want to be the good municipal person that's always, dotting the i's and crossing the t's, On the other side, I wanna say like, yeah, you need the power, just hook up, you pay for it.
What
And make sure that we get paid for our power.
Over the winter? What happens with it over the winter? Gets turned off?
It's a permanent outlet.
Yeah.
Okay, but so somebody's gonna drive up in their RV and plug in and
Those-
then
They
we
have to
get
have a
billed?
lock on it.
Or-
Your worship, there's a few things that aren't addressed here yet in this. One absolutely is secured access. It doesn't matter whether it's winter or summer. We can't have an unsecured outlet that that could potentially be drawing. So there's going to have to be some provision figured out to secure that. A meter would be great as well, but as his worship mentioned, that there's an option to flat rate that instead.
Well, also look at the other opportunity. This is not just going to help this small business. We don't have to worry about blowing circuits for farmers market. We don't have to worry about plugging in for events that can happen in that space as well. It's a great space.
I agree, there's just lots of little details that haven't been ironed out yet, that's all.
I know, for me it's just frustrating because the power is right there, and being that I live off grid, and the only thing I'd love to be able to do is hook up to power. It's all right there. Sorry.
Right. So I want to be a wildcat and in favor of business. So I'm going to put a motion on the floor that we move in principle to allow Mr. David Grant of the Funky Goat Eatery to pay for and install an electrical box subject to, and he's just going to have to trust that the Village of Valemount will not be psycho about this, but it's going to have to meet our standards. That means it's going to have a lock on it. It's going to need to be weatherproof. It's going to need to be up for code for something we would have on our property anyways. And so that would increase the cost of this. However, all of the costs would be paid for by Mr. Grant. We would agree to what the costs were before the work was done, and then work out a sharing arrangement subsequent to this that seems fair.
Maybe look into some legal issues, if there's any kind of legal thing that we need to be aware of. You know?
Can I speak? Yeah, can I throw that in there? Subject to checking with the Municipal Insurance Association on any issues regarding. So what this motion is for staff to vet that, to see what those issues are, and barring any increased liability on our part. And another piece putting in there, boy, this is getting to be a big one, saying that provided that this doesn't provide assistance to, is not in contravention of the community charter. So allowing staff to have the space to look and make sure we're not doing something illegal here, providing assistance to business or any other contravention of the community charter. But the idea is we can move this meeting tonight, look after the basic arms and legs, and if things go well, if it doesn't raise the red flags, he can proceed. If it does raise red flags, it goes off track and we meet it back here with staff recommendations to do otherwise. But I know normally we would go and we would send staff away, but it's 2 weeks, it's so busy, there's so much opportunity, I just want to get things moving. That's my motion. Did you get most of that?
What I'm wondering if we might move on to the next new business while I write the motion out properly and then I
I
can read
just
it
have
back.
one more point I want to make though, is that I still would like to have the opportunity for cost sharing in the future if we find that this is a beneficial implement to the village.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's okay, you can eat the $5,000 bill here, but if in the future that we find that we are also using it for village benefit, that it's something that we look into. And I know that's a really tricky one, but I don't want to close that door completely.
You keep writing. You write it and we'll come back to it.
Your worship.
Yeah.
Can I add something as well?
Yes.
I just want to offer that in the meantime, until such a solution is found, we as a village can ensure that the ground for the farmers market is kept graded and level and accessible, so that there's an opportunity to place that business in such a way that the generator noise is blocked by the food truck rather than echoing the generator noise directly into the farmer's market area.
So sort of interim solution with the
Absolutely.
proponent and location. Okay, fair enough. Well, that's a good meanwhile. Okay, we're gonna let Braden do his magic work here, and we'll move on to the next new business item. Too bad you don't have earplugs. Okay, so, guys, essentially, there's this Small Business Roundtable has this Open for Business Award. This is forwarded to us by our MLA, and I'm going to read a little bit about this. And I really apologize for bringing this late item, but it was only brought to my attention on the weekend. The BC Small Business Roundtable invites local governments to compete for the Open for Business Award. Small business plays a vital role in developing both economic and social fabric of our province, and their owners are the heart and soul of our communities. As an incentive, the province is providing awards of $10,000 each for up to 20 communities who best demonstrate that they have planned initiatives with the spirit of BC Small Business Accord principles. And actually those principles are kicking around here somewhere, but they're just on one page. And essentially the principles are: consider the needs and impacts of small businesses in policy and program decisions, foster a regulatory environment that allows small business to access, navigate, and influence effectively and efficiently, design government programs and resources affecting small business so they're well-developed, accessible, properly funded, and effectively communicated, foster thoughtful collaboration among all levels of government, deploy educational and training programs, create long-term growth opportunities for small business through government procurement. Like I say, I apologize for springing on you on this, but my feeling is not just the work that the village has done. Sorry, I'll say that again. Not just the work that the village has done, but the work that different groups in the community, like the Chamber of Commerce and the Valemount Ski Society, have done. It's a community award. I think put Valemount in the running for this fairly easily, considering all of the excitement around Valemount Glacier destinations.
It's gotta be in by Friday.
It does, yeah. And the other piece that I would say is we always have to remember when we put something on our administrator's plate, say, you know, something falls off. But 10 grand. I don't know.
Yeah, can you put it on your plate?
We can make it happen. Sure.
Councillor Latimer? Councillor Bullock? And comments, concerns on that, or? Okay. Yeah.
What do we do with the money?
Yeah.
Do we have to decide that before?
No, but I don't know, is there criteria for what happens to the money?
Power.
I'm sure there is.
I knew a power box with the
I knew a power
information
box.
center.
You got it. You got it. We buy it back from David Grant.
Yeah.
Okay, so, I'm sorry, I don't have any. All in favor? Okay, very good. We're still waiting for Braden. Braden, just keep rolling there.
Well, we have to tell them what we spent $10,000.
Oh, okay, it's part of the application.
Electric.
All right. Okay. So moving down, there's a list of outstanding previous council resolutions. Kind of showing the business that's needs to be taken care of, or is halfway taken care of. And then we have a calendar of events for July and August at the end there. Really dragging this out, Braden.
Your worship, the resolutions, yes, no, never mind, sorry.
Thank you for putting that back on staff.
Finally got them separated.
And it
Okay.
just, like, the calendar even helps me, because I don't always know when certain community events are happening, so I was like, oh yeah, okay, forgot about that.
And of course, very big deal this weekend, the Canoe Mountain Rodeo coming up. That's excellent. The 20th is Canada Parks Day. 23rd is the council meeting. And we got farmers markets on the 4th, 11th, 18th, and 25th. Fantastic.
But they didn't make it on to next month. That's okay.
Well, they're all
Well, they've got
marked.
some
All the Thursdays are
highlighted,
marked.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they just don't have it listed.
farmers markets are all there. Would it be inappropriate to, no, I don't want to do that. That's good. We'll just wait for,
10 seconds.
okay. Council, thank you for your patience. So I bought this van. Oh, good, we don't have to go into that. You couldn't have been 3 seconds earlier, eh? Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. If I'm putting words in council's mouth,
We will let you know.
let me, exactly. That council approve in principle that David Grant of the Funky Goat Eatery be allowed to pay for the installation of a power outlet at 735 Cranberry Road, pending. List of 4 or 5 items here. Any and all village standards, requirements, and/or conditions be agreed upon prior to installation.
Set up by staff. Yeah, just so they're not coming out of the wind, they're not coming out of the future, he'll know them before he signs up for this. You'll know them.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That the standards, requirements, and conditions meet any and all legal issues and are not in contravention with the community charter. That the standards, requirements, and conditions meet any issues that might be raised by the Municipal Insurance Association. That the conditions address potential future benefits that the village may deem from the installation. And fifth and final, until such standards, requirements, and conditions and subsequent installation is finalized, the ground near the farmers market will be created as to provide a new location for the Funky Goat Eatery to park during hours of operation of the farmers market.
Braden, can we word that in such a way simply to grade the grounds for the farmer's market purpose?
Yes,
Thanks.
ground will be graded as to provide
Yeah,
graded grounds for the farmers market.
okay. That doesn't need to be a part of this motion, I don't think.
No,
I don't think it's part of the deal.
think not.
So that's great. So we'll just strike that from that last clause.
Yep.
The other piece was, so your future benefits, it seems to speak to future benefits that the village may want to acquire. But there is this thorny issue of another mobile vendor who may want to use the thing, so we got to do some figuring on that.
and maybe we can have discussions with the proponent to try and be solution-based, so it's not just us rolling out the solutions, because it seems like this letter has given us a lot of option to play with, so I think it would be really nice to collaborate with Mr. Grant to find, for suggestions that might, that we could maybe try within our temporary bylaw. Is that even possible?
Yeah,
I only heard coughing.
No, to address what you've said, Councillor Bullock, I was hoping that by using the language standards, requirements, and conditions, that keeps the nature of an agreement between the village and David Grant a little bit intentionally ambiguous at this time, to allow for exactly what you're talking about to be sussed out in the coming days and weeks.
Good.
Okay, so it's just a motion. I'll put it out there, I'll move it. Got a seconder for it?
Yeah.
Mr. Bullock? Council, I guess at your peril, I want to lead you down the garden path, but it just seems like it's just an electrical outlet. No? Okay. All right, all in favor? Okay, excellent. Okay. Thanks, Braden, for your efforts on that. No, Goodness, you did a great job. Appreciate that. Okay, so now we move to a portion of the agenda that we call public comment. The basic rules on this is just that public comments and questions are allowed. They should be limited to 2 minutes each. The questions should be regarding items that have come up on the agenda today. They shouldn't be questions that are not normally dealt by the village with as just part of our daily routine, the normal routine. It's really respectful of the order of government. If you rise, we'd like you to state your name and address. The questions should be addressed to me, the chair of the meeting. And we really, I'm getting better at it, but we try not to have a debate with you. But this is more of an opportunity to listen, to hear what you're saying. So don't feel as if you're not getting an answer right away. It's not our goal to make decisions about what you say. It's just a chance for us to hear what you're saying. And that's a really valuable piece. Council won't make commitments in replying to a question. And matters which require action have to be referred to a future meeting. But with that, I'll open up public comment. I'll just ask that you raise your arm if you'd like to make a comment about the proceedings tonight. Okay? Mr. Hook?
I have a couple questions regarding the garbage bins.
Yeah. Would you rise? Thank you.
Sure. I have a couple questions regarding the garbage bins. Why it's so hard for a government that's supposed to be transparent to elaborate what bins we're getting, such as model. We should be able to purchase them or opt out. If we're going to lease them in 5 years when the life of that garbage bin's paid for, we shouldn't lease them anymore. And why it's so hard to get straight answers out of the chief administrative officer, and then she hangs up. That's all I'd like to ask.
Thank you.
Peter Fellmark, 12 on Main Street. I like to know, I have a house, I've been there for 10 years, and you have never yet picked up my garbage from that house, and I'm paying you $106 every year. Are you going to be paying me for that?
Okay. Just one moment, please.
sorry.
So if this is just a matter that would normally dealt with by the village, you feel you're not
Is it?
getting good service from the village,
There was a
we would like you
garbage you talked
to...
about here.
Yeah, but you're talking about the $106 that you already
Oh.
pay as a matter of course.
Oh,
So that would just be something you bring to the village office to say, hey, you're not picking up my garbage, I think.
I've never done that for 10
Yeah.
years.
Are there further comments you'd like to make about the
Yeah,
new?
one more than that, so just bear with me for a sec, will you? And the other question I have another house where it's been empty for a couple of years. Do I have to pay $106 for that as well? Do I have to buy a garbage can as well if nobody lived there?
Mr. Tucker, no.
It's just a question, you can come up
Sure.
and you can write to me and whatever you want later.
Okay, thank you.
And also, I have a business in town. I have a dumpster. Do I have to buy another dumpster, or is that okay?
No, that dumpster's just fine.
So I won't be charged for a dumpster
Sorry.
on that part?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I've just got Sylvia just popped up behind you. Sorry, I apologize.
Sylvia, Jungle 1020 Main Street. I just have a simple question, maybe it's even a silly question. Council Latimer said that the garbage bins are not allowed to be curbside ready, so the garbage pickup day, I think, is about 7 to 10 meters away from the property line. All right?
Sure.
Where
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay, because the dragging in the snow and the ice and the gravel will still be quite complicated with the wheels of those new garbage bins. And it's, either a village worker or myself will break the neck with it, so if you can stand there, and I broke mine already, it's going to be a lot easier for both of us, I think. And it's very convenient where the garbage truck by now pulls in and picks it up. I know it's a hassle, what's existing, but with the new bins, I think it's going to be very easy, so it's allowed to be there. It's really great.
I think the basic premise is that it should be on your property. But... Okay, further,
Junior Sacek, 820 Bevan Crescent. I just want to comment on the garbage too, about paying like after 5 years, we should be able to, you know, it's paid off, why can't we buy it out right off the bat? And not pay till, you know, a lifetime? That's one comment. And what, does the cardboard pickup, is that changing at all, or they still, all the business owners still gotta haul their own cardboard?
Pass that to the administrator.
At this point in time, cardboard pickup isn't changing until we look at that curbside recycling
So
piece.
they still gotta pick up their, or deliver their own garbage,
Garbage or cardboard?
cardboard.
Yeah, we take our own cardboard.
Yeah.
you know,
I take mine.
You have that choice, yeah.
Right, so why can't we have a choice for the garbage? We're at the dump a couple times a month anyway.
How much debate do you want to get into?
We understand that there's an invitation to sort of debate. We want to try to avoid that out of respect, but I'm hearing what you're saying is the idea that there's a garbage piece that commercial businesses do, or a cardboard piece that businesses do. There is a service that the village provides to pick up garbage, but it's basically just like any private contractor. The village is able to pick up garbage, but it would just be signing a contract
Yeah,
regarding
like
it.
when we had the Stedmans, we paid cardboard, you know, we had to deliver our own cardboard out there. We stayed, the fee never changed or nothing.
Yeah,
So just a point I wanted to bring up.
yeah.
Okay, the reports in here, you said the financial report is available on the website. What about all the other reports, or do I gotta come in and see those?
Nope, no, they're all there. The entire agenda is online. It's a rather big file, but it's,
And there's no way that we can bring back, like, get at least a few of these better agendas? Like, you know, from.
the thick
you don't
paper
basically-
agenda.
You don't know what's going on most of the time in this.
We're actively pushing, well, it's been the design of the administration to get people to use the electronic vision. I shouldn't speak for the administration, but the idea is that it's all there. It's published painstakingly 3-4 days before, or 4 or 5 days in advance. And it's there. And so we've made that commitment to do it electronically, and
Sure. Okay, one thing I wanted to ask David, what kind of power are you looking at? Is it 240?
Yeah, it's a 15 amp, or sorry, 30 amp that I need. There's going to be a 15 amp available for someone else, as well as some smaller outlets for the farmer's market. So it's a 100 amp box total.
Because I think we're, you know, as much as I like David and everything else, it is a bit of a precedent, I think, so, I don't know, just my thought.
thank you. Thank you. Okay, I see Mr. Fox.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. PCL is a garbage collection company. They refer to their company as a garbage collection system, and I think that's part of that might be part of the key here, in that this is a system that ensures a quality and standard size of bin for every one over the years. And if there are any problems with bins, icing, breakage in -35, maybe the village could look at addressing replacement. But my question is, because 2014 is a pilot year, I'm wondering if the $20 fee can be waived for switchovers, say from 35 to 65 liter bin if need be. And that's, thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Della Marsh, 1425 6th Avenue. I just need some clarification on something here. Anne, you said that those that are paying $106 a year for the garbage, if we got the small can, it would be down to 90. It's less $16. Is that correct? So then you're adding a fee of $45 onto that?
No, that's total. That's
Including that would include the lease of the bin, the collection, and the
Tipping fee.
tipping fee. So it's
The $45.
$90 is all in. So a resident, when you paid $106 last year, you would
Okay,
have a new bin on your doorstep,
okay,
paid, owned by the village, but it would be on
Okay.
your door. The total cost to you over that year would be $90.
Okay, and so this fee that if we have to lease it, we never pay for that garbage can?
But it's still less than what you're currently paying.
That's not what I'm asking you. I'm just saying we
That's
never
correct.
we never pay for the garbage can in theory if we're paying you the fees.
Correct.
That's right. Thank you.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Jeanette Townsend, 1934 Cranberry Place. I have a question for clarification from the administrator. You said, Anne, that there would be emission taxes that would have to be paid by municipalities, is that correct? On gas that's used, gas, propane, how are they going to measure that? On what is used?
They've done baseline studies on all of the propane purchased in the municipality as well as the propane purchased by the municipality itself.
Okay, what about gas? You mentioned gas as well. How do they measure the gas?
Perhaps it would be useful if you'd like to learn about the SEEP carbon emission enterprise program.
You know, I used to be
We would
on
be-
I was appointed to the Provincial Conservation Society, and I represent an area. But the administrator did say the gas that's used. Okay, so how do they measure the gas that's used in a municipality?
In the same way that they measure the propane.
All right, what about the travelers that are driving through and they purchase gas? There's a lot of travelers traveling through.
Absolutely.
And so is that used locally? Is that a local emission?
I would just invite you not to debate with the administrator,
I'm not
rather
debating,
ask any
I'm
questions
asking for
that...
clarification, please. I'm asking for clarification. How do they measure it?
I'd like to have a really in-depth discussion with you on that because there's a lot to it. They have included a very large piece in that, and we as a municipality are not necessarily happy about the parameters set either. But it's a bigger piece than we probably have time to discuss here.
We're here, we got time.
To me, it's...
Guys, this is not the venue to have this. Again,
But again, we can't give them answers.
please come into the village office. We're open from 9 till 4:30 Monday through Friday, and people are certainly willing to come and listen to your stories. That's really what I can suggest for you tonight.
Again, we're not getting answers.
Have you come in?
Councillor Bullock?
I'm sorry, I
You
just,
You get hung up on a phone, you don't get answers in email, and then we're here on camera to get answers. Why can't we have an answer?
Can I just comment about or try and get clarification on the emissions? Do we not track our leaders that all of our village vehicles and council vehicles are used of doing village business? Is that not how, do we not track that and it's reported and that's how we are?
It's not, it's bigger than that though as well. Yes, as a municipality we're measured, but we're also measured in the broader sense. To set those baselines, they calculated the entire volume of propane that was purchased in the village, which was provided by the propane companies, same as by the fuel companies. But it's a big topic and it's really not one that we want to start discussing here.
Right.
But those baselines were set by measuring all the purchases that were made in the village, and that information was provided by BC Hydro, by fuel companies, by...
I think we're a bit off track. What I'd like to just, if I could encourage the last speaker, were there further questions that you had that we can get information for you on?
Thank you very much. No, I just wanted to know how they would measure the gas that's used in emissions when there are people traveling through. You know, is that included in the measurement?
Thank you.
That's all.
Okay, excellent. I appreciate that question. Further comments from the public? Yes. We'll just get to the people who haven't spoken yet, but we'll get back to you. Yes. Please rise. If you could, it just does the chamber a real honor if you stand. Say your name and your address.
Brad Gottbach from Main Street, the barn on Main Street. And I worked in Woodminster, and the garbage bin situation, they have the same thing there, and it was excellent. Everyone in the community liked it.
Thank you so much.
I want to say that.
I saw, yeah, Mr. Grant.
Peter Grant, 14081 Howard Road. Just want to say thanks, guys, for with such short notice reviewing my letter and going forward with the motion. Just to sort of clarify some stuff, there was some concerns of the liability issues. As a condition of my business being open, I had to purchase liability insurance with the town being also on the policy.
That's true.
So if there's any conflict in that, we'll work through it, obviously. And I'm not opposed to anybody else using this box. If another vendor wants to come in and put another 30 amp receptacle on, let's say, of course they'd have to pay for it themselves, but I mean, I'll put it on the initial lines and whatnot. It encourages small business, such as myself, as well as farmers market. You know, I think it was Denise was doing beaver tails or whatever it was, deep fried, and she can open that up and serve desserts. So thanks again, and thanks for supporting small business in our community.
Excellent. Thank you for your comments. Mr. Hook.
As far as the garbage cans for business, do we take them out to Fifth Ave or do we take them in the alley? And if so, will the alleys be better maintained in the winter than they have been in the past?
Thank you.
Peter Felmer, on Main Street. I was just wondering, because Christina was saying something about the cans, they have to take them in, can they leave them there? If it's on village property and they own the can, if she decides not to take it in, what are you going to do about it?
Thank you. Excellent. Okay. Yes.
Teacher Jana, 1165-9. I just have a question. If the bins have serial numbers that are tied to our houses, I don't understand how they can't be tracked as to which ones are bought or leased. If they're already being tracked to the house, it's one extra box that you tick off whether it's leased or bought. Just some clarification.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Mr. Fox. Name and address, you didn't do it the first time.
Question from 11 and 5 3rd Avenue. Yes. With regard to the tagging of these bins, are they electronically tagged and sent each time a bin is lifted and tipped? Oh, okay. Thank you.
I have a very different question. I want to ask the council, if with the current Montreal fire, busy having fuel explosions, if the town council has given any consideration to seeing what the impact potentially could be for Valemount if fuel cars moved in this area.
Ms. Hiska?
My apologies. Hiska Girding, 1233 2nd Avenue.
Thank you. Ms. Girding, I saw you just under a whisper there, you've got it, because in one of the reports I saw that, and councillors reported going to Emergency BC. That's of a real concern. Right now, I'll just get, is that fair if I get the Deputy Administrator to speak about the emergency plan?
Okay, sure.
I know it was from a council meeting ago, but it was mentioned here, and we'll just go with that. I mean, it's a real concern for people, is where the planning process is right now.
Yeah, really briefly, the Emergency Planning Committee had our first Emergency Planning Committee meeting 2 weeks ago on Wednesday, and we actually went through, as a kickoff, a very similar scenario to what actually happened in Quebec, just to start the process of what it's going to look like to update our emergency plan. So that committee's got 4 or 5 members right now. We made a motion to expand the membership to invite a few more. And that issue and other real issues like that will be ones that the committee will be addressing in the coming months.
And I do want to toot our own horn, because we got everybody in the same room and we can speak to them about the actions that the village is doing to make the people of Valemount safe. I do want to brag up one of the people we've managed to get on the committee as the emergency volunteer planning coordinator.
So council, it was 2 weeks ago or a month ago now, appointed Barbie Bruce, a resident of Valemount, to be the co-emergency planning coordinator along with myself. And Barbie has a long history both as a volunteer and a professional of working in emergency planning. City of Victoria, Fairmont Hotels, University of British Columbia, and a number of other avenues as being an emergency coordinator for those organizations. And she's now on as a volunteer capacity lending her expertise and experience for us in Valemount.
That's great. There was also a recent course Councillor Salt attended, and they ran through some scenarios. So the process is alive and well. And of course, we were all reminded of emergency planning during our Swift Creek emergency of last year, about this time, plus or take a month. But not to say that we're totally prepared, but that consideration is being given and resources are being allocated. Mr. Torgerson.
Thank you, Your Worship. Owen Torgerson, 9 Malone Elm Street. I believe it's policy with CNR that if there's any sort of emergency situations that are on heads up, note that they will, say a sulfur car on fire, that they will stop previous to the next community and wait for emergency services there. But as long as you're going to lobby on what they can and cannot do on their own property, let's open up or reopen Von Zuben crossing so we don't have to get onto the highway to take our recycling to the transfer station.
Okay, very good. Very nice. You know what? By the time this council is done, CN's going to be begging for mercy, I'm sure. I hope so, anyways. It's a valiant fight. Thank you very much. With that, unless there's anybody, please.
Yes, Paul Markland from 1133. It's directed towards Councillor Salt with regards to the education process. Now, personally, I really believe since you had the positive results with the RCMP and the distribution of the Good Neighbor bylaw, the Animal bylaw, and the Noise bylaw, that I suggest to the council that it is really a shirk of duties that you do not have a bylaw officer to enforce anything. Could you explain the education process to the balance? Thank you.
Okay, maybe we can do some, take that intention. I don't think Councillor Salt's prepared to just, I mean, it's just take some time.
In the bylaw, as it's currently written, lists off different positions that can, in the bylaw as it's currently written, does list off different positions within the village and the RCMP that can act as bylaw enforcement officers. So we don't have one per se.
If there's no enforcement, what's the use of it? All of these bylaws, you need enforcement.
Thank you. So I just want to say this. We hear you, and I don't think you'll get a different opinion around this table. We've been feeling the effects of this as well, and it's grating. So I will say though that at any rate, we won't get into it too far, but yes, that's a fine point, and we understand that there are a couple components to it. But alas, we do what we do, and we're working on the file, and we're trying to make things better here, and try to increase bylaw compliance.
Can I suggest to you to put some sort of a timeline, as well as an appropriate fee for bylaw officer?
Thank you. You can, and you just did. So, further comments from the public? I don't want anybody to not have their say, except for Mr. Hook. Miss Nunwala.
I'm just interested in this emergency preparedness thing again, because I was thinking back to last summer, and I know there was a call out to members of the community to basically say what they could do in the case of an emergency, to volunteer and help or whatever, and I've never heard anything more about that, whether or not there's been any contact with people that are...
Just to make a really good and quick answer, I think that's a really important question. I think we need to have good communication with our newspapers, if they're so willing, to get that information out there about how people become involved. But certainly your first step is to get in contact with the village. And there's numerous things that people can do, from just in terms of aiding seniors by providing a bed in the event of a road closure.
Yeah, and I did do that because that's what I thought I could do. But I've never heard any, they were going to get back and in touch with me to see what I had to offer.
Yeah.
Never heard a thing. So I just wondered if my bottle got lost, or if there's anything that's ever happened with that, or if it was just kind of like this initial response idea that, but nothing was ever followed up.
We'll have the administrator, or deputy administrator speak to that.
I have no idea.
I have limited knowledge on that because I moved to Valemount after the summer. But what I can say is that the emergency planning committee has highlighted 3 initial core areas that need to be figured out for any emergency. One is solidifying and having a detailed process for an emergency operations center. The second is an emergency social services center, and the third piece is the communications. And that triangle needs to be in place for any emergency. And what you're speaking to is essential, it's the communications. So as the emergency planning committee digs into that communications piece.
So this list that they collected of people's names,
We'll
somewhere is still somewhere.
We'll certainly look into that and see what happens in the coming months. But yeah, that's a very good point.
Okay, thank you. It's great to hear from you all. Okay, yep. Please, yeah, if you don't mind.
1023 Fifth Avenue. I have a couple of comments in regards to some things that were said this evening. One of them was Junior mentioned that the agenda is rather poor, and I have to agree with him on that, but I would like to see the village perhaps develop a database where you collected email addresses of the residents, and then rather than us having to go and look for agendas, that they would be pushed out to us on an email. And then the other thing was that in reference to something that Dallas brought up, she said that they were always looking for volunteers for various committees. And perhaps that would be a place where you could be asking for volunteers so that you could volunteer in an area that you were interested in or that you had expertise.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Excellent. And I will get back to you, Mr. Hill.
In regard to the bins and the model of the bin, it was told to me in an email that it wasn't paid attention and they didn't particularly care about the model of the bin. They ordered the bins based on the truck. It's a little disturbing that someone's gone and accepted a tender without knowing that when everything in life is tied to a model number.
Thanks for your call. Yeah, okay, we're gonna allow you to speak, but I see that maybe there's one person who wants to speak who hasn't spoke yet. Did I see, Marion, did you want to address the chamber?
Me?
Yeah. No. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought I saw your, Mr. Fellman.
Peter Fellman, 12 on the Main Street. I just want to bring up, a month ago, Andru, I asked you, I said, we had got 10 stone benches given to us, donated to us, and I asked you what's happened to that, and why they're not the applying benches.
Sure, yeah, thank you.
I never got back, nobody got back to me on that.
Okay, do we have an update on?
The work on the Bigfoot Trail is still going on. That's up to that committee. There's still, you'll probably still notice improvements there coming, so.
I'm on the committee, and I heard nothing about those benches yet.
Okay.
Just in case you wouldn't know.
Okay, excellent. Great. With that, I'll bring public comment to the close. I hope that everybody feels that they've been at least had a chance to speak, if not be heard. And that brings us to the next item on the agenda. So we better have a motion to receive the Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Salt. All in favor? Great. Okay, so public comments been received. The next motion is to proceed in camera. I move that the council proceed to in camera for the consideration of one item as per section 90.1C. Should we get a... All in favor?